Hi there, it's David Young, the Resourceful Coach, and what we're going to talk a little bit about today, what I call insane golf, and we're going to focus on my putting today. Now, what do I mean by insane golf? I'm literally going to go through a few of the things I was taught as a junior golfer that now cause me problems in my putting. Okay, and some of these things you might be doing, I think over time these ideas have changed dramatically and for the better. But two of the things I would say I do badly as a professional golfer, I'd say this is probably the biggest reason I didn't make it as a player, was my putting. Okay, some days it'd be very good, some days it would be poor, but if I did two things generally, I would get poor contact, it would always feel a little bit thin off the face of the club, and I would also get a sensation of coming up short. That would be my big thing. And it was interesting because I was always a very good short putter from sort of 3-4 feet, very rarely missed any of those putts. And I was always quite a good lag putter, which you think if this, what we're going to talk about today, was causing a fault, I wouldn't be very good at lag putting. But for some reason I could lag putt pretty well. What I didn't do well enough was those putts probably between 10 and 20 feet. As a professional golfer, you've got to hole a few of them if you expect to do well. So what we're going to do today is show you what I was taught to do, and we're going to use a little teaching aid here called HackMotion, which will pick up some data on what I'm doing in my stroke to show what I was doing and what I need to change to make it better. Okay, so we're going to do two things here. See if we're going to look at two putts. That's 15 to 20 foot putt, where I wasn't particularly good at, and also we're going to look at a little bit of a left to right downhill putt and see if this HackMotion will actually pick up any data that will tell me why I wasn't very good at left to right downhill putts. Okay, so let's explain what HackMotion is. It's a sensor that sits on your lead wrist. So for me as a right-handed golfer, my left arm, and we have two sensors on it here, one on my forearm, one going across the sort of the top of my hand, sort of pretty much on the top of my palm. If you want to think of it like that, palm is directly underneath. And what we get then is this sort of sensor going across, and it picks up all the movements that I get in my wrist. And when I first had a go with this, it showed me a couple of things, and I was like, wow, okay, that explains a little bit what's going wrong, and we're going to show you that today, what I then need to do to improve it as I go through. So, as I said, let's explain what I was taught as a kid, what you should always do when you're putting. And the first thing was to play the ball forward in your stance and hit with an upward stroke. And what this should create is topspin on your putts. And what I found was, as I hit the ball, if you imagine, I know I've got the sensor on, if you imagine my fist is the ball, you're trying to do that to make it roll over. What I was actually doing was just thinning the ball and catching this leading edge of the club, the bottom edge. I mean, you think about it when you hit a normal shot and you catch it a bit thin, it's not coming out the sweet spot of the club, it didn't work. Okay, so that's where I got an inconsistency in what I was doing. Because I was probably playing so much golf, and what I mean by that is I would play, like summer holidays, we're now into July here in the UK, and as a junior golfer, I would play every day. So even though it wasn't perfect, your subconscious would find a way to get the result. And it's why I call it insane golf. You found a way to do it, but maybe it wasn't quite as good as it could be. And it got me to a good level. I mean, I got down to one handicap as a sort of a 15, 16-year-old boy, so I was a good player, but I never got any better. So I'm now looking at it and thinking, was it my technique or was it my mind that caused the problem? Okay, so let's hit some putts, okay? We've set some balls up here. We're going to hit some putts. We'll get some data. We'll give you some idea what I'm doing, and we'll relay that to you, and we'll put that up on the screen at the same time, and then see what I need to change to get the results that I want. Okay, so I'm going to hit 5 putts. Let's see what we get. And always my intention, whatever a putt, I want to hole it. So I'm not doing anything different here. The only thing that might happen a little bit is because of the fact I know what my fault is now, I might make a slight improvement today, but that's not really the goal. Now, what I'm getting on the center, I can see it on my phone there. I just move my wrist, it tells me I'm moving that 10-15 degrees, and it works out whether you're cocking and uncocking your wrist. It works out if you're moving your wrist side to side. so bowing and cupping, and all of these things can change the position, number one, of the club face where you're aiming, and number two, how you're striking the putt. Okay, so I'm going to do what I would normally do. Aim there, get that set up, make a putt, and that felt quite nice, but as we can see there, where have I ended up? About a hole and a half short of the hole. Okay, so we'll do 5 putts and then it will give me some data, and as I said, we'll put some of that data up on the screen, and that feels nice, but again, look, I'm short of the hole. And if I'm honest, it feels just a tiny little bit thin. The contact doesn't feel pure off the face. Okay, that was a better speed, but again, I think I only would have just got to the hole. And I think when you watch some of my videos when I've done playing lessons, often I have come up a little bit short of the hole. How many times there? That's a good putt. I mean, and we encourage you when you practice your putting to only take 3 balls on the green, but this particular app needs us to do 5 putts to get some information on what we're doing there. So let's just hit one more. I'm getting the feel of the putt, and that probably would have gone in the hole nicely. Okay, so what's interesting is it's picked up some issues straight away on what I'm doing, and as I said, we'll put these on the screen so you can see that. Actually, I'll just turn it that way just so you can see what it's saying. And anytime there's a red thing on the screen, that means we need improvement. Amber's okay and green's good. Okay, so what it's saying to me is at the top of my backswing it says my wrist is too flexed. What that basically means, if you know what bowing and cupping means, it means I'm bowing my wrist a little bit too much. And when I look at that, it was one of the things I was taught again as a kid, was to sort of put the putter along sort of like a skirting board. So again, it's an old habit. This is 40 years old and it's still happening. Okay, so what I'm doing is, as I go back, I'm trying to keep the face, in a sense, it feels like I'm trying to keep the face square to the target, whereas in my mind what should happen is the face should rotate naturally with the arc of the swing. And my natural rotation isn't bad, but it's as if my wrist is trying to keep the club square. Now I know a reason why this happens is I have a very slight, what they call forward press. So when I set up to the putt, if I come back this way so you can see it on the camera, when I go to take the putter away, my initial trigger is to do that with my wrist, which will slightly bow the wrist. So that's probably what it's picking up. And in doing that, then chances are it'll bring the face back a little bit closed as I go back. Okay, what's interesting, if I probably miss my putts anywhere, I miss right. So what am I doing? I'm closing and then I'm opening the face as I go through. So it's giving me information that actually my backswing is causing the issue. Okay, now the other thing, and I've used this with a couple of lessons already, the timing was interesting. So let's just bring that up on the screen there and we'll put this a little bit better. But it's saying my timing, we want a ratio of about 2 and I've got a ratio of 2.5, and it basically saying my backswing is far too slow, and then my downswing is actually okay. And I think that's those two things, with my wrist sort of doing that and trying to help the ball up, plus my stroke gets a little bit too slow on the backstroke, is then as I come through I'm not getting the speed correct as I go through. Although it's saying the speed is good, there's an inconsistency there, but the likelihood then it might feel like I'm accelerating, but actually it's too slow a stroke. Okay, so I need to be a little bit brisker with that stroke. Okay, so the two things I'm going to learn from that, and what's great with this app, it will give you drills to help you with it. So the biggest one it said to me, let's get rid of the phone, is if I'm just coming to this angle, what it's saying is as I swing back, I'm literally doing that with my wrist. Okay, and what I need to feel is that I'm keeping that more constant, that the wrist isn't bowing as I go back. And the chances are then, as I go back, because I'm doing that so slowly, I then come back and then it's like I'm trying to flick it a little bit with my wrist. But again, remember what I was told as a kid, hit on the up. So it's as if I'm going back and then going up to try and help the ball, and that's what would give me the thin connection. Those putts, as we saw, the first 2 came up short. As I went on, my natural instinct would make the change, and that's why the shots got better. Okay, so amazing. I'm only going to work on one thing here. Okay, and because the balls were going pretty straight, I'm going to work on the tempo. Okay, I'm going to work on that idea. I need my backswing to be a little bit quicker. Okay, so I'm just going to take the phone back. Let's go back to where we were. And I think what we're doing here, which is really important, when you make a change, it's very interesting when you use these apps, is that you can get, I mean, if I looked at that, it's saying there's 3 or 4 things I can improve. And everybody thinks I've got to improve them all straight away. If you do that, you're probably going to have a lot of problems. Okay, so I'm just going to focus on simply the tempo, and I'm looking to make my backswing a little bit quicker. Feel that's quicker back, quicker through. Okay, and let's see what we get there and see what the ratio is. It's 2.5 before. I'm going to be a little bit quicker back and through. And straight away, interesting, the ball's come up a little bit short. Okay, but I'm going to wait for that to go through. So, again, still didn't make that change. My backswing was better. It's gone from red to amber, but it's still too slow. Okay, so I want to make that. So I'm going to make the backswing a little bit shorter and a little bit quicker. Now, straight away, it felt like I hit that putt with good energy. And all I'm interested in, have I improved that? Not looking at any other stats. So now what was interesting is, and it's still the same balance, but my backswing it's now saying was good. But because remember, if you think about it, my follow through, my downswing, sorry, was quick. That's why that ball's got to the hole. So part of me is excited because it looks at it and goes, good, backswing's good, but still the ratio is too fast coming down. So now I need to get somewhere in the middle. That's what we're looking to do. So there, that same tempo, back and through. That felt really good. Like that, speed was good. And I said, we'll put these up on the screen. So that one was perfect. Okay, let's just bring that in. Now we've got all greens. Okay, so let's bring that into there. And it's still not perfect, but I'm happier with it, okay? So we're looking at this number here, 2.3 now, and that was 2.5, 2.6. All green, so it's saying my backswing, which was about 0.8 of a second, doesn't sound a lot, but that's 10% quicker, and then all of a sudden now we've got a much better ratio of what that's doing as it comes back into the ball, and that's what we want. And the ball, we can see, got nicely a foot or so past the hole. That's what we're looking for there. Now, what's really important is when you're working on these things, let's go back again, is don't just hit 3 putts and you think, well, that's good, I've done the job. You've got to hit a few, okay? Because of this, and I'm excited by it, and the thing for me that makes me excited by it is the contact was so much better. And that's the bit I've always hated all the time in my stroke. So straight away, it's given me confidence, okay? If I'm setting up over the ball now to think, okay, be a little bit shorter, a little bit faster, back, through, straight away, lovely stroke. Look at that, bang, bang in the hole. Okay. Now, other things are still saying they're not perfect, but it's good. Okay, that's the good thing as we go through there. Okay, let's get rid of that. I want to see what I'm doing. So again, that was good. Okay, we've got green numbers again, and you saw the result. So again, shorter, bang. Now, and interesting, that felt the best of the lot, and it's ended up, the weight was good, but it felt a lot more a sensation of the stroke being sort of compact. I think that's the word I'm going to use. Okay, so what's interesting there, still saying my backswing now is the right speed, and I'm still a little bit quick on the way down. So there. Well, you saw what happened with my early putts. They were coming up short. Now all of a sudden we're getting the numbers we want. And it's interesting when you watch golf, is now it feels to me, I always wanted to feel a very much a smooth stroke back and through, is always probably felt a bit more like a Lauren Roberts type putter. That's a player I looked at, Ben Crenshaw, these type of putters. It feels now, if you've ever watched Brandt Snedeker putt, it feels like I'm a lot brisker, but it feels so good off the face of the club. Okay, it feels like it's coming. It does feel a bit scary at first that it's going to go too far past, but actually, so that felt lovely. There we go, okay. And let's see what we were there. So I'm just looking at the data, what's it telling us? Yep, perfect now, all green, and the ball's running much nicer. So I would never have changed this. I think that's the important thing to understand. I would never have looked at my putting stroke, because I keep hitting the ball straight. I would never have thought it was the tempo. I would have never thought it was this timing issue more than anything else as I go through. So again, same thing, back and through. And it's interesting because that felt a little bit like the old putting stroke. Okay, that felt as if I got a little bit slower and then tried to hit it, and then I'm hitting a little bit on the up. With that feeling of being brisker, it actually feels like I'm keeping my body a little bit quieter. So why are we calling it insane golf? Because the insanity of something is thinking it's going to improve, but you're doing the same thing. With the great information I got from HackMotion, it said, yes, there are some technical faults, but for me, what I've learned is initially, my tempo was the thing causing me the biggest problem. Because I generally get the ball online. I found a way to do that. And then if I work on that a little bit, and that's what I would do. If I was working on my game, I go, right, I'm going to have a week of working on that. And the good thing with putting and the good thing with this is you can practice at home on the carpet. It will pick up that data. As long as you're making contact with a ball, it will pick up the data. So I can work on that at home. I can pick up my putter 20 minutes a day and work on that. I don't need to go down to the putting green and do that, but I can get the feel of that as we go through. So that's what my sort of process would be, maybe for the next week or 2 weeks. And what I would see then, if the other bits may change, I don't know what's going to happen to them, and then go back and look at it. And as long as I've improved that timing, it's going to make a big difference to what I'm doing. Now, we mentioned the other putt that I'm not so good at was always a little bit of a left to right downhiller. So let's set the camera up to look at that and see what we've got. And then from that position, what we can start to do then is understand, did I start to move my wrist or do something badly because maybe I didn't trust the line or I didn't do something, and find out why I wasn't particularly good at those putts. So here's that second putt. It's just a little 5-6 footer, left to right, not a lot of break, downhill. And what was my weakest putt? What would I do badly in this situation is I feel I'd read the putt well, I'd feel it's got a break left to right, but I would always tend to miss the ball to the right of the hole. And I see this a lot with golfers, right-handed golfers left to right, right-handed golfers right to left on a downhill putt. And I think it becomes a little bit combination of two things. I think massive thing is trust the line you're choosing. But I also think gravity sort of has a thought here. And because everything feels like it's pushing us this way, it feels like I need to push the putt to the right. Yet amazingly, if I have a right to left uphill putt or downhill putt, I don't tend to do that. I tend to have the confidence to hit it into the slope. But I don't know whether it's the eyes and the weight falling more into my toes that makes me feel like I'm going to push right. So I would get over this putt. I think it's a left lip putt. So not a big breaking putt, this one. And then as I go into it, a lot of the time what I do is I then push out to the right, and it would go right of the intended target. And that's where I would get a bad result. So I'd aim left, and then I'd feel like as I came in, I'd put right, and there I've caught the edge of the hole to go through. Now, what's interesting, I'm just going to do a couple of putts here because the sensor's not quite picking it up. Just hitting them firmly. Okay, just check this is working. Pick that one up okay. Amazingly, the others it didn't. So needs to get me some more putts. So again, just working with me a little bit on this. Okay, so good. Okay, so let's go again. And interesting, even though I hold that one, it did actually say that the face was too open as I came through. So I obviously was opening the wrist slightly as I came through, even though I hold that putt. Okay, so let's see what we're getting there. So set ourselves up, we're aiming left edge of the hole. I'm going to commit to, as if I'm going to commit to that line back through. That feels a good putt. Well, that was good. And probably, if I'm honest, and I'm always honest with my lessons and the videos, because it doesn't count as a score, I'm probably a little bit more committed to this as I go through. If this was sort of putt for a par on a hole, I might be a little bit more tentative. The ratio, everything there, all the things I worked on the longer putt were really good. And as I said, I always was quite a good putter, but my ratio there's 2 degrees. I mean, it is literally all green. Okay, slightly too flexed in my wrist as I went back, but 1 degree, just bowing that way slightly, which is the bit we weren't talking about earlier. Okay, so might not get the results I want here because it's not competition environment. There, through, again felt, if I did anything, my wrist wanted to open up a little bit there as I went. I can feel it. That's the interesting thing. And it's interesting, I can see as I do that how much I'm changing the face on the actual little computer. I'm watching that on the screen. So I'm just going to keep everything steady. Back, through. See, that was weird because that felt a really good putt, and look, I've not blasted it straight past. Okay, so there's probably not that much break on this putt. But again, I think because I'm working on that ratio, the first part of the video, we're taking that into this pretty good. So maybe that's helped me already. Yeah, so those putts are a lot better as I'm going through. So, I mean, those putts were taken 5 minutes after the other ones. As you saw it, that's what we did. We just reset the camera. Maybe because I'm thinking more about that tempo and that ratio being just a little bit brisker is the way I'm looking at it in my mind, they were straight away better. So if you think about what we learned earlier, if my backswing was too slow, did it give me a time to then compensate as I went through? Probably. So in a roundabout way, I've solved the second problem with the first one. I've got to keep that tempo up. So everything I've learned today is now saying, okay, you've got to change things. Okay, if you're playing, as I called, insane golf, I want insane golf to be amazing golf. Not a situation where you're going, look, I'm not making changes and expecting it to get better. But what I learned from HackMotion was my stroke was too slow going back and out of tempo. There was no tempo to it, so my consistency of strike was poor. As soon as I got that stroke a little bit quicker going back, a little bit shorter, and then kept the stroke a little bit brisker all round, I started to hit better putts. And then the putt that I really don't like, that left to right downhill, although we were hoping it was going to bring something out, because I'd worked on that, made a massive difference to what I'm doing. So in my mind, a really good teaching aid here, something that for me I like. It's very simple, it's very lightweight, and you can use this for your full swing as well, which we will do a video on that in the next week or so. But we've just given insight. You can use it for putting, you can use it for swing, you can use it for chipping. It will give you so many good feedbacks to your game. And it's all about really, are you keeping that club face consistent through the ball, or are you inconsistent with it? And that's where maybe you're getting that variety of strike. And that's what I felt with my putting. It wasn't a consistent strike. Now I'm doing this, the strike is so much better. And for me, that's probably, if I'm honest, I've used it now for around about, probably only 100 balls. Okay, but straight away it feels better. Now what I've got to mentally do when it counts in a score on the golf course, can I keep that focus and stick to that routine, that process that I've developed in practice, that I then think I can do when it matters for a birdie or a par or whatever it is on the golf course. I hope you've enjoyed today's lesson. It's very much around making changes. You've had a little bit of a look into my putting, and if you are somebody who sees issues at all there with your putting, especially speed control, you may find, has the stroke become a little bit too long and then you're not able to get it. I mean, I get people say to me when they take it back, it feels like it's sort of wobbling around. Again, you're probably taking it back too slow. You want to get that feeling of the stroke being a little bit shorter, a little bit brisker, and get the strike. And then you'll adapt the weight. If you hit enough putts, you'll adapt to it. Okay, I know if I work on this, it will make a massive difference to my putting. I just wish I'd known it 35 years ago. That made a difference to my game. If you have enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel. Press the little bell. We have notifications there. You get videos go out pretty much twice a week, and we have a short go out every week. So you get 3 videos a week now that you can watch. Please enjoy them, share them with your friends, and I look forward to seeing you soon.